everybody? Welcome into it. This is The Porch, a Volquest podcast, volquest.com, Volquest on the YouTube channel. And, of course, we're going to be meeting with former Tennessee first baseman Luc Lipcius here in about 15 minutes. You know you have that to look forward to every single week right here on The Porch. Appreciate you guys for hanging out with us here today. Hey, want to give a special shout-out to our new title and presenting sponsor of The Porch. It is Spivey King and Spivey LLP. They specialize in criminal defense, family law, and personal injury. Problem? Let us find a solution. TN Trial Lawyers. Give them a call today for a free consultation. That's 423-245-4185. 423-245-4185 for a free consultation. It's Spivey King and Spivey LLP. Couldn't do The Porch without our friends over at Spivey King and Spivey LLP. So go ahead and check that out for sure. We got a lot to get into here today. Tennessee has returned home, had an undefeated week last week, off to a great start here in the midweeks, and then you have Gonzaga on the horizon. So a lot going on right now before Tennessee gets to Gonzaga. Then you have one midweek game next week. Then you have Morehead State. One midweek game the next week, and then hey, you're in Columbia, Missouri for the start of Southeastern Conference play. It's kind of moving rapidly here, right? I mean, you started the season a couple weeks ago, and you're out in Arizona. Then you return home, and it really just kind of kicked into high gear here. So Tennessee's starting to kind of round into form, and that's because for the first time all season, Tennessee is at full strength, right? I'm going to throw my phone over here because it keeps vibrating, and I know that annoys you guys because it annoys me. Tennessee's at full strength right now. Maui Ahuna, transfer shortstop from Kansas. He made his Tennessee debut on Tuesday after missing the first 8 games of the regular season. All right, he manned the shortstop position. He hit 6th in the order. His first at bat, he nearly went yard, of flying all the way out to the warning track in left field. He made a catch in the field, a little pop-up in the first inning. Was so eager for a ground ball later in that game that he went and took a ground ball away from Christian Moore on the right side of the infield, which I thought was hilarious. But Maui Ahuna comes back, hitting 6th, and he's making his Tennessee debut, which I thought was huge. Now, again, just full disclosure, I'm recording this before the Wednesday midweek. Maui will not hit 6th the entire year. In fact, I don't think Maui will hit 6th much longer. I think he's going to go to the 2 hole, and I think you're going to put Christian Moore at 3 and Blake Burke at 4. Maui could also lead off. I'm a big believer that your best hitters need to be hitting at the top of the order. I mean, that's baseball 101, right? I mean, your best hitter is Blake Burke, but also Blake Burke is your biggest RBI guy, so you don't want to hit him leadoff, right? But pretty much your best average guy, your best hitter, you want them to get more and more and more and more and more opportunities. So that's why you see a lot of people, bat their best guys leadoff. If it's not leadoff, maybe it's 2. I just think it makes so much sense that Maui's up there, that number 2 hole or leadoff, but I bet it's going to be 2 before it's all said and done. Just creating more righty-lefty balance in that lineup and making it deeper too, because again, you take Maui out of 6, you put him at 2 or leadoff, that means you're bumping some guys down. That means like the Zane Dentons and the Griffin Merritts are now hitting 6th, 5th and 6th. I mean, it creates a lot more parity in that lineup, which I think is really, really good. So it's good to get Maui back, first and foremost, because Tennessee can now be complete, and Tennessee can now kind of truly figure out who they are. And Maui is the best defensive shortstop in the league, right? I mean, he's probably got the best infield glove in the league. He's an MLB prospect. He's so smooth and crisp at the field. He's going to be drafted. This guy's going to be playing in the big leagues one day, right? And so, for that in itself, it's good to get him out there. And it's good to see kind of what he can do. One other thing about Maui on Tuesday night when he got his first hit, a part of a 1-for-4 night in a Tennessee uniform, that extended a hit streak to 20 games dating back to the end of his time at Kansas. Remember when he was at Kansas, he had 396. He led the team in average, led the team in RBI, led the team with 12 stolen bags. He was on SportsCenter's top 10 plays twice for glove work in the infield. Again, he's really, really good, but the hit he had on Tuesday night extended his hit streak to 20. I actually tweeted out 21 because that's what Kansas's bio said on Maui, but we went back and actually counted, and it's only 20. Or it was 19, and then Tuesday made 20. But nonetheless, I mean, that's really impressive, right? And I expect Maui just to continue to settle in and be a big part for Tennessee. So Maui's back, and that's huge. How did Maui get back? Well, Tony Vitello took a 3-game suspension on Friday. It was really interesting. You hear this, you hear this, you hear this and that, you hear this and that, and what me and Brent discussed on the Rocky Top Rewind on Sunday night, and what I discussed a little bit on my own personal podcast of Locked On Vols earlier this week. You hear things, you know things are going on, but until it becomes something, it's nothing, if that makes sense. Knowing that Tennessee's been talking to the NCAA for months now. I've known that's been going on. Knowing that there were some questions regarding Maui Ahuna, and knowing that there were some questions about Tony Vitello if there was a suspension coming, if he was going to be able to coach the first couple games of the season. But as you continue to creep more and more towards the regular season, those questions kind of disappeared because it looked as if everything was going to be okay. Tony was coaching. And Maui was playing up until, Tony said 24 hours before first pitch. And for me, it was up until that day, right? And then, of course, he was not, as he was waiting eligibility clearance and all that. So there was nothing really to talk about or report on until there was something. And then that was just that Friday. And then, of course, he plays or he doesn't play and he misses the first 8 games of the season. Tony Vitello does coach, comes back. He coaches the 2 midweek games. And, all this talk about Maui is starting to really, really kind of heat up. And, people discussing, people telling you things like, hey, watch out for Tony tonight. He might not be at the park. Hey, watch for Tony. There might be a suspension coming. But also, I was told, I know a lot of you guys are laughing at this, but I swear to God, I was told this, that Tony was sick, last week. And so he was going through it. It's kind of how it was characterized to me. But anyway, it was like, hey, try to get eyeballs on Tony when you get to the ballpark. Because he may be sick, he may not be there. That might be a story for tonight. So as soon as I get there, I'll walk up to the press box, all up those flights of stairs, and I'm looking, don't see him. Get my binoculars out there, looking in the dugout, looking in the bullpen, and don't see him. Turn around to Tennessee Sports Information, like, yo, where's Tony? Give me a statement. Having leads because I've been tipped off and having pretty much the story written, but needing that final confirmation or a second source, and ultimately it came, right before first pitch happened, and Tony wasn't there, and it got to the point too to where you're sitting there and the guy on the PA announcer on the loudspeaker is, coached by assistant coach Frank Anderson, Quentin Everhart, strength and conditioning coach, and led by Josh Elander, and it's like, you didn't say head coach, but with the inflection in your voice, that's where Tony Vitello's name should be. So it's like, all right, what's going on? Obviously, Tennessee put out that statement and saying that been in conversation with the NCAA to address a minor violation within they didn't say minor, but a violation within the program, yada, 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 all that good stuff. And so Tony served his 3-game suspension, and they said there would be an update on Monday. Well, the thought process was, and that's why I kind of alluded to this on the board, I'm like, hey, Maui's going to be back soon. Maui might be back on Friday. I don't think I ever said leading up to Friday or on Friday that Maui might be back today, but I kept on saying soon. Once Friday was over, I think I did kind of say, hey, I was told he was going to be cleared on Friday. So because he wasn't cleared on Friday, you're not going to be cleared on Saturday and Sunday, because I checked with this too. The NCAA packs up shop at the end of the work week. They don't meet over the weekend, so it was going to be Monday at the earliest at this point. So, I thought he was going to be cleared on Friday. So, knowing that he was likely going to be cleared and eligible and ready to go on Monday, that's when you kind of wanted to wait for that news and then update about Tony Vitello. Maui gets his eligibility clearance, he's back in there, and then Tony Vitello's 3-game suspension has been lifted and he's back in the dugout. Right? Again, I will say this. There's been some guys on the board asking about it and everything, and this is not me trying to start anything. This is not me trying to ensue a panic or anything, but the Tony Vitello suspension was a Tennessee thing. It was a Tennessee Tony Vitello thing. This was not the NCAA suspending Tony Vitello. So the Maui situation is done. It's over with. He's there. He's playing. That's, signed, sealed, delivered. He's yours, okay? Down the line, the NCAA could do whatever they want to. They could suspend Tony Vitello or whatever. They are asking questions. They are inquiring into the Tennessee program, right? So just like Brett and I spoke on the Rocky Top Rewind, anytime the NCAA is poking around and asking questions, that doesn't feel very good, because what they're looking for this, but maybe they'll find this or maybe they'll find that. It's really, really annoying, right? And so I'm not saying Tony's completely out of the woods yet in terms of the NCAA. I'm also not saying anything's going to happen for that. If the NCAA decides they need to act, when will that be and how long will that be? I don't know. I don't know that. We don't have the answer to that right now. But Tennessee would not put Tony Vitello back out in the dugout if they didn't feel comfortable in doing so. And so that's what they have, and that's what they did for sure. So that is what that is right there. All right, so Maui is back. Tony Vitello is back in the dugout, and he's coaching, and that's a good thing. One more thing on Tony Vitello. Someone was asking me what can and what he can't do while suspended. You can do everything that you are supposed to be doing and doing already as a head coach of a program throughout the week, on game days and all that. But as soon as quote unquote pregame starts, whether that be an hour, 90 minutes, I guess it might be like whenever they go take BP, you got to leave the premises. And as we'll speak on with Luke out here in just a moment, as soon as that last out is made, you can come back. So Tony can be in the locker room, Tony can be on the field and all that type of stuff on game day. But as soon as pregame begins, you have to leave. You have to stay gone. And then as soon as out number 27 is made, you can come back. That is what he can and can't do. He cannot sit there and call. He cannot have any communication during the games or anything like that. But all his other head coaching responsibilities are in play, just not during that 3-hour window of a Tennessee baseball game. So someone asked that. I hope I answered your question. Maui, Tony, I mean, those are the big stories of the week, right? Obviously, but it's funny. Blake Burke, homered again, drove in 5. This is on a Tuesday night, and it's unfortunate because he wasn't the main story leaving the ballpark, against Charleston Southern. It was the return of Tony and the debut of Maui and all that. But Blake Burke continues to tear the cover off the baseball. It's incredible, man. He is showing patience. He's going opposite field home runs, looking really, really good in doing that. Going straightaway center. Man, it's really fun to watch his strength be put on display right now. He's killing it, and he is without a doubt Tennessee's best hitter right now, and it is so much fun watching him go to work. So I know the guy we're about to talk to, Luc Lipcius, he was a really good Tennessee baseball player, really good first baseman. It's not like the drop off of losing a Jordan Beck and a Drew Gilbert, for Tennessee this year, because Tennessee lost a good player, Luc Lipcius, but Blake Burke is now manning that first base bag and getting more and more consistent at bats, and Tennessee's in a really, really good spot there. The third outfield position is still looking. Dickey's going to be out there, Merritt's going to be out there. It's Kyle Booker got the start on Tuesday's midweek game. He got the start on Friday against Dayton, but then didn't start and got one pinch hit opportunity late in the Sunday game. Christian Scott did not get an opportunity to hit whatsoever over the weekend against Dayton. He came on as a defensive replacement. Dylan Dreiling got a start one of those games. Hunter Inslee got a start one of those games. Reese Chapman getting some pinch hit opportunities. Still trying to figure out that third outfield spots for Tennessee and what that may look like. And I wrote about it in the 3-2-1. I think the veterans for Kyle Booker, specifically Kyle Booker and Christian Scott's few and far between right now. That clock is ticking. You've got to make do and trying to stay in this race, really, because Kyle Booker's got all the talent in the world. He just has never consistently hit in a game time situation. So we'll see what happens there. He came on he got the start on Tuesday and had a 1-for-4 day. He did have a single, which was good to see. But that third outfield spot, we're continuing to monitor and continue to look at that and see what all that is about. And then finally, I wanted to touch base on the bullpen here. Tennessee is going to finish off the midweek, have Gonzaga coming into town for this weekend. We're talking about, Blake Burke and that's, the third outfield spot. Those are kind of the storylines. Of course, Maui's back now. Tony Vitello's suspension. We know about the starting pitching and how, my goodness, last week against Dayton was fantastic. I mean, you had Chase Dollander, 12 strikeouts, one shot of a career high. Chase Burns, 12 strikeouts. That is a career high. And Drew Beam, just steady Eddie. Those guys are really just fantastic right now here in the early going of this baseball season. But we talk about the starters so much, but I mean, the bullpen has been just superb so far. Seth Halverson finally gave up his first run after appearing in 3 games. That came on Tuesday. But so far this season, Seth Halverson 8 1/3 innings, 5 hits, or actually 2 runs. He gave up a run in his debut outing as well. But 8 1/3, 5 hits, 2 runs, 10 strikeouts, 1 walk, 2.16 ERA. Seth Halverson's looking really, really good right now. Andrew Lindsey 4 innings pitched so far, 3 hits, 2 runs, but neither one of those are earned. He's got a strikeout. He's got 3 appearances. He's looking really, really good. Kirby Connell continues to just do Kirby things. He has 4 appearances, 2 innings and a third, 3 strikeouts, no walks, and has come on and gotten big critical outs when needed. Jacob Bemby has come on and pitched a little bit. Bryce Jenkins, a guy that has appeared in a couple of games and has 4 strikeouts and no walks. And then Zach Joyce, who might be the most impressive of them all. He's pitched 2 innings and 2/3 at the time of this recording. So what is that, guys? 2 innings, that's 6 outs, and 2/3, that's 8 outs. In 8 outs, he has 5 strikeouts. And at one point in time, every out he had in a Tennessee uniform came via the strikeout. He has been really good. Again, an ERA sits at 0s in 3 appearances, 2 2/3, 5 strikeouts, no walks. Opponents are hitting .000 against Zach Joyce. So it's been really fun to watch this bullpen go to work. And like I'll ask Luke here in just a moment, this offense, and I'm not being disrespectful, I'm more or less tipping the cap to last year's team. What last year's team did was special, leading the nation in home runs, breaking program records for runs, and all that type of stuff. Like, that doesn't happen every year. This team is not that team. This team will not be as explosive as that team, and that's okay because you can still win a hell of a lot of games. You can still squeak out 5-2 wins or 4-1 wins or 6-3 wins. Like, you can still win ball games that way, but you're going to have to rely on those pitching, those bullpen arms even more than what you have been and what you did last year. And I think Tennessee's got the horses to do it. I truly do. So that's some good stuff in that regard. And Tennessee's bullpen is looking like it's in midseason form right now, as Tennessee currently 7-2 on the season, heading into the final midweek game, and Gonzaga will come up this weekend. All right, so it's been fun to kind of touch base and talk Tennessee baseball a lot so far here in the early going. We will talk with Luc Lipcius, former Tennessee first baseman, when we return right here on the Porch. It's an every Thursday podcast right here at Volquest.com. But hey guys, I want to tell you about our proud sponsor, brand new to the Porch and to Volquest.com, and big baseball fans, great guys who run an outstanding practice. It is Spivey King and Spivey LLP. The 3 partners, Matthew Spivey, J. Matt King, and Richard A. Spivey, they formed this partnership in 2012, but they've been at the same location in Cherokee Street in Kingsport, Tennessee for 43 years, okay? They are specializing in criminal defense, family law, and personal injury. The motto is problem, let us find a solution. TN Trial Lawyers. They specialize, again, with the criminal defense, family law, and personal injury. Examples of that, maybe you're going through this, maybe one day you will and you know who to call. But the examples of this, they specialize in DUI, homicide, assault, sexual offenses in state and federal courts, divorce, custody, alimony, parental rights, personal injuries such as car wrecks, accidents, or injuries. Over 80 years of combined experience, Spivey King and Spivey LLP provides representation throughout the state and federal courts in Northeast Tennessee. The firm has a vast amount of trial experience. Practice has been in place, again, like I said, for 43 years, with this partnership forming in 2012. Also having partners that are energized for today's most modern legal demands. Practicing primarily in Northeast Tennessee, the Tri-Cities of Sullivan County, as well as surrounding counties like Hawkins County, Washington County, and more here in the East Tennessee area. The firm has won multiple awards and has attorneys who are rated by super lawyers in the Mid-South with real trial experience. Whether you're injured in a car accident, need a divorce, help with custody of your children, or have been accused of a crime, they are there to help at Spivey King and Spivey LLP. Go see them in person today at 142 Cherokee Street in Kingsport, Tennessee. That's 142 Cherokee Street, Kingsport, Tennessee. Or give them a call right now for a free consultation. That is 423-245-4185. A free consultation at Spivey King and Spivey LLP, 423-245-4185. And can always check them out on their website at SpiveyKingandSpiveyLLP.com. All right, Luke, so kind of an interesting week, right? Tony had to sit for 3 games. Maui ended up missing 8 games before he came back and made his debut Tuesday night against Charleston Southern. What do you make about all this? A lot of distractions, but Tennessee kept its head down and just kept on playing.
Yeah, I think that's one really good thing that you can see that came out of this. First off, V having to sit out for 3 games, I think it helped Maui get back in. So that just shows you what kind of coach he is. He's literally willing to take one for the team in order to get one of his players back. But then the fact that the guys didn't seem rattled by it at all. is a really good sign. There's been times that when a coach leaves a game, when a star player leaves a game, a team tends to crumble a little bit. But I didn't see any of that from them. And I know that V was extremely excited that they got the sweep, even with him not being there.
You've been a leader on this in this program for games where Tony's not been there, and I know like it was just kind of here or there ejection. You have to serve a 1 game suspension and all that. But as a leader of this program, when your head coach is not there, kind of how do you go about things? How is it different? And how are you trying to make it seem like it's not different and trying to like lead the rest of your team?
Well, they do a really good job of giving the players a lot of room to be free, and so as far as decisions about the lineup and maybe a hit and run here and there, V's really there just to be a presence. And he sometimes hypes us up, but really it's up to us, and we've been really good in the past at keeping everything even keel, or maybe even getting a little excited when we need to, that kind of deal. So as far as playing without him, it's not that much different. I will say though, after a couple of his ejections and us winning the series have been some of the best celebrations I've been a part of. So he does a really good job at making a comeback after he's out for a couple of games.
Yeah, kind of on that. How are those celebrations? Because I mean, once you get ejected from a game, you have to leave the premises essentially. But as soon as that last out is made, you can come right back. So like Drew Gilbert last year, against Notre Dame, when he gets ejected, he has to leave, but he can come right back. And so how are those moments whenever a guy or a coach or whoever's kind of kicked out, but then, as soon as it's over, they come right back. And if it's a win and you mentioned those celebrations, they feels like they probably mean a little bit more.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, they don't come in quietly. It usually involves storming into the little tunnel we have and us doing a little, I don't know, jump around, scream thing. I think one time my sophomore year, I think he got ejected for the Kentucky series, and he came in. I don't know how much clothes he was wearing. It was hard to see, and he did a full-on WWE performance with a chair in our team room. So if that tells you anything about the the kind of passion he brings and how fired up he gets, yeah. So those celebrations get pretty fun.
How important is it to get Maui back? He came back on Tuesday and, trying to ease him back in the lineup, hitting him sixth. That's not going to be permanent, but put him out there at shortstop. He was so eager to get a ground ball. He took one away from Christian Moore. But again, I mean, there's no sugarcoating it. He's going to be one of the best players in the league, and this is the Southeastern Conference. There's a lot of good baseball players here. How important was it to get him back after 8 games?
Oh, it's extremely important. For him, the rest of the team, you can see them settling in. And so as a guy who hasn't been playing with them, I know that one, he's going to be really amped to get back, and it seemed like he was. And then for two, just to make sure that he is settled in before the gauntlet of the SEC. And so even though he missed those first 8 games, he still has plenty of time to get back in there. And then, of course, for the team, it adds another bat in the lineup. It adds a very solid defender, really good runner. I feel like everything will feel a little bit more whole with him in the lineup. I remember watching and thinking like, geez, this lineup does not give you a breath, especially through those first 6 hitters. But then what I really liked was V DHing Jazz Love for at least his first AB, kind of as what seemed to me like a thank you for playing as well as you did while Maui was out. But like I said, if Jazzy hits, he'll be in there. They got plenty more options now. You saw Cal get in. Yeah, so it's looking good, and I feel everyone will feel a little bit more, let's say, comfortable and maybe a little bit more whole now that he's back.
Yeah, is it kind of a sense of, all right, you can just kind of like take a deep breath? I mean, it's not like you can't worry about that. You got to go out and do a job. And so, I mean, that's what Tennessee did out in Arizona and coming back last week, a 5-0 week and all that. You just got to put your head down out and go play. But if you're a member of this team, is it kind of just like a sigh of relief? It's like, okay, now we can finally get going because we can figure out who we are, what our lineup looks like because V's back and Ahuna's in here. And now we're at full strength.
I think you hit the nail on the head. While you're While everyone's not in, you can do as much as you can to settle in, to find your roles, all that stuff. But until you have every piece, the puzzle doesn't come together. And so now that everyone's back, I think they can really get on a roll. They can really start settling in, showing themselves, and playing to their full potential, which I'm really excited to see. It's a great time to be on the right track as SEC approaches in, what is it, three weeks, I think it is.
Yeah.
So it's a great time that he got back, V's back. I think they're going to be full steam heading into today and then the weekend.
A little less than 3 weeks, actually. It's going to be here before you know it.
Mhm.
You brought up Jazz Love a moment ago. Tell us about Austin Jazz Love. He's a local guy. I know you played with him for a couple of years. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is his third year in the program.
Mhm.
But a local guy, and was called on. His number was called because Maui wasn't there. Came in, played shortstop, has a good glove. He actually drove in 6 runs over the course of the first 8 games of the season, which I didn't expect, and that's awesome. And I, like you, I think that was a nice little hat tip saying, hey, thank you for what you did. And I think he'll get some more ABs the rest of the way. But I mean, now that Maui's back, that's a spot. But what did you think about Austin Jazz Love's play the first little bit of the season during Maui's absence?
Yeah, so I was completely surprised. So Jazzy's first year, he I think redshirted, so he wasn't around all that much, kind of a gray shirt situation, whatever it was. Last year, he was around, but of course he wasn't getting that many reps, hitting wise at least. And so all of us are thinking, okay, he's most likely going to transfer. He's going to do something else. Well, he ended up staying around, and everything I heard from his fall was, and even spring training camp, was that he's good. Like, he's been hitting the ball well. He's been playing defense well. And so he's always been good at pretty good at defense. But I think when Maui went out and Jazzy came in, he did such a good job of not letting the moments get too big and really just sticking to who he was. And you saw that he had great production. I don't think he made a single error either, except for maybe that one throwing error or whatever, whoever that went to. But regardless, like, coming in with that composure, you can tell that he was waiting for his time. And like you said, I don't think this will be the last we see of Jazz Love, especially if he keeps doing what he does. 6 RBIs in 8 games is pacing about 40-ish, which is a really quality season. So what he did in Maui's absence is fantastic. And so I think we'll see some more of him.
Yeah, I think I'm not looking it up right now, but I'm pretty sure he got charged with a throwing error at Grand Canyon. But still, on that play, I think we talked about it last week. I mean, that specific play is something that Burke's got to come down with. He had a base running blunder in that game as well, just trying to make a play. He got away for the first baseman, and I guess didn't realize how close the wall was and got thrown out. But I've been impressed with the way he's played for Tennessee in the absence. And hopefully, again, that's a right-handed bat option where there's few and far between on this team. Hopefully he'll get some more opportunities in pinch hitting or DH down the line, because I think he's earned it. A guy that is just beating the hell out of the baseball right now is Blake Burke. I know we talked about it last week. I know you're not surprised, but dude had two solo home runs on Sunday. He had a career-high 5 RBI on Tuesday. He is quietly too. It's funny because you left the ballpark on Tuesday and you had Blake Burke, who had a career night, but I mean, wasn't even the story. The story was V's back and you got Maui. And so no one really even talked about Blake Burke. It was the quietest 5 RBI night I think I've ever seen in my life. Why is he hitting the ball so well right now? And can you just talk about the groove that he's in?
Yeah, well, I think I'm going to speak on nobody talking about him. He, for whatever reason, is just getting overlooked for these preseason accolades. People aren't respecting him, whereas anyone who's been around him knows that he's going to possibly hit 30 home runs this year. And so I think what puts him in the groove is just his swing and his composure. He's up there taking ABs like he's been in the league for as long as I was, and so nothing really phases him. And then, of course, when he hits it, it goes a long way. He's such a strong guy, really, really good hands. I remember times where he would be in the cage single-handed with his normal size bat, hitting off of a machine, coming in at 90. And so if that just tells you anything of how big and strong he is, that's a little story. But to your point, we were talking literally yesterday how all of his home runs have come off a lefty and are either to left center or center. And of course, last night, what do you know? A lefty comes in, he hits one left center, and I'm just like, come on, Burke, when are you going to get one to right off of a righty? But yeah, what he's doing is special, and he's going to have such a fun season. And I think as we ride into SEC play, he's going to finally get some of that notice from other SEC teams, from other teams. But I don't think it'll phase him at all. Maybe his walks will go up a little bit.
Yeah, I understand the whole preseason thing because I mean, even though, gosh, how many home runs did he hit last year? I mean, it was 10, wasn't it?
14 homers in 100 ABs. If you stretch that out to a full season, it projects to like 40.
Which is incredible. Yeah. So I remember but he was still a part-time player, which is just mind-boggling.
Exactly.
So I kind of get it in terms of that respect, but like, I mean, he's not gonna be overlooked much longer. He is Tennessee's best hitter right now. It's not even close. From a pure hitting perspective, I love him hitting in the 3-hole because I think he's Tennessee's best hitter. Of course, he's powerful, but he's hitting to the opposite field. He's hitting to straightaway center. He's being patient. I love him hitting 3. Now, I think eventually he's going to be Tennessee's cleanup hitter because I think eventually Maui's going to go to 2. They're going to put that right-handed bat with Moore at 3, and it's just going to create a little bit more balance. What do you like about him hitting, and do you think he I mean, obviously I think he'll do well at hitting 4, but I love him hitting 3. What do you think? I think the best hitter needs to hit 3 in every lineup, and I think that's Blake Berg.
That's 100% correct. I think that 3-hole is for RBI guys. Historically, in every single place you go, the 3 guy is who has the RBIs. The 4 guy, of course, you call him cleanup because he kind of cleans up if the 3 guy, let's say, doesn't get it done or maybe leaves a runner stranded. But yeah, I think Burke will stay in that 3-hole for as long as they can. I think what Via's love to do is rotate lefty, righty, which is what they're doing now. I could see him moving to the 4-hole if they bring Maui up a little bit. It would be interesting to see because I know V doesn't want to go 3 lefties out the gate. But I think he's doing such a good job in that 3-hole of producing when guys get on, and also when no one's on, he's making runs by himself by hitting it 500 feet. So I love him in that 3-hole too. We'll see what happens as Maui moves around, but I think he's going to be there for a while.
We didn't get to touch base on this last week, I don't believe, because it was the Wednesday game. But oh man, how about Charlie Taylor? I mean, what a night! He drove in 5, I believe, had 2 home runs. He was a double shy of the cycle. Everybody's talking about Cal Stark, rightfully so. Cal Stark's bat is going to be in the lineup the majority of the week. Say there's 4 games, it's going to be in there 3 games, whether it's catching or DH or whatever. But I mean, it's always going to be a split job behind the plate with Charlie Taylor leading it off, in my opinion. And I feel like that Wednesday game last week just kind of shut everybody up. It's like, okay, I understand this is not LSU, but I mean, for you to hit 2 home runs, drive in 5, have a double shy of the cycle, it's like, okay, this dude can actually hit. And we just hadn't seen him hit a whole lot throughout his Tennessee career. But this year's been different. What do you like about Charlie Taylor that game and really so far here in the early season?
Well, he's a fan favorite. He's so easy to get behind. A great guy, works so hard, and it's so awesome to see all of his hard work pay off. As far as baseball goes, it is very, very confidence instilling when your catcher, who's a very good defensive catcher, can also hit. I know that was a big question mark coming into the season of if we're going to have our best defensive lineup, it won't be our best offensive lineup. Now that Charlie's hitting, it's looking like the lineup can switch between Cal and Charlie, and they won't miss a beat. So as far as that goes, it just opens up a lot more possibilities. You could throw Cal in there to DH when Charlie's catching, and you don't have to feel worried that 9-hole is just an automatic out. So as far as that goes, I think it makes everyone relax a little more, and then just to see him doing so well, it makes my heart happy. I think after that game, I sent him a nice text or whatever, just congratulating him on a career day. But it's awesome to see him doing so well.
Yeah, I'm sure his inbox was full after that game for sure. A couple more here. I want to ask you about earlier in your career because you were pretty much the everyday first baseman the last couple of years you were here. But earlier in your career, you were fighting for reps, you were fighting for at bats, just like everybody else. Look at a guy like Forrest Tears, who he's waited 2 seasons, 3 seasons just to get in a bat, and then you get in there and like he's got like four hits so far this season, and 2 of which have been for extra bases. But they're just pinch hit opportunities right now. they're just coming on in the 5th or the 6th inning in place of the DH or in place of an outfielder. He logged a couple innings in the outfield the other day. How difficult is it for that guy to just stay positive and stay the course when you are producing, but you're hardly getting any opportunities?
Yeah, so I think that it's really tough mentally. The coaches do a really good job of making sure that you're not thinking too much about yourself. So I'm sure he knows what's going on is the best for the team. But what is good for him and what can kind of drive him is, the Trey Lipscomb story. It's almost the same thing. He waited, he bided his time, and then he came out, had an explosive season, got drafted 3rd round, all that good stuff. So if there's any reason for him to wait around, that's it right there. And so I think that while he may not be getting the reps, and when he does get in, he does well, it's just so competitive. And I don't think his outfield glove is good enough to make him a mainstay this season. However, I think we'll see him working, and they love him as a guy. They love his bat. It's so strong, really good hand-eye. And so we'll see him in some more pitch hit capacities, maybe a few weekday starts, even maybe a Sunday start. But as far as full-time everyday play this year, I would say not looking good, but he's going to bide his time. He's going to be around next year and hopefully have a breakout season. But what he's been doing as far as pinch hitting and producing, coming in like that, being young, it's great to see.
It's unfortunate too because he's a left-handed bat, which is, it's not a bad thing, but like Tennessee has so many of those,
Mm-hmm.
so it's like you could be that key righty off the bench. It's like, well, no, I'm hitting lefty.
Yeah,
so.
Got to learn how to switch it.
Yeah, for real, like Zane didn't. All right, so one observation I have here in the early going of the season, and this is not intended to be disrespectful to the current team because, you can be really, really good, but you might not be as explosive as you guys were last year. That team last year was a fun and special team. The home runs, the runs. You broke program records. You were leading the NCAA. This year, I feel like the offense is not going to be as explosive, but I still don't think Tennessee's kind of turned it on yet. But even when they do, I don't feel like it's going to be as explosive. I feel like you're truly going to have to rely on those arms even more than what you did last year, but to squeak out those 5-2 wins, those 4-1 wins. Kind of what say you about that? I feel like this team is built to do that because you have so many powerful arms. But just because you're not, scoring 10, 11 runs in every non-conference game, it doesn't mean you can't hit. That doesn't mean you're a bad team. It's just what you guys did last year was so special.
Yeah, that is so true. I think that's what people forget is that last year was an anomaly. That doesn't happen in a baseball season. So what happened last year should not be taken as a standard by any means. And I think Tennessee fans have a habit of comparing this team to last year, saying, hey, you guys aren't hitting 5 home runs a game, putting up 12 a game. Why do you guys suck? And so by no means does our offense currently need anything to worry about. They have so much talent in the lineup. They do have a fairly good amount of experience in Denton and for sure Merritt, and then a couple of other guys, Burke and Semo. So they're going to score their runs. They haven't hit their stride yet. They're going to be just fine when we get to SEC play. Like you said, it won't be as explosive, except for when Burke hits balls 500 feet. I think everyone's going to get up and cheer for that. But we lose big time excitement guys in Gilby and Lipscomb, Cortland. All those guys who fire you up. They do stuff to get you going. And so it's not that this team doesn't have as much passion or excitement. It's just, it's different. And I think once they settle into their own, we'll see maybe a little bit more run production. But yeah, I don't think that any team is going to be as explosive as last year's.
Before there was a Luc Lipcius, there was an Andre Lipcius. Give us out the door. Give us an update on your brother. He's in big league camp right now and looks like he's doing well.
Yeah, he's doing really well. He started big league camp. I think his first game was last Saturday. He hit a homer in his very first big league game. And then I think he had a double last night. So he's doing really well, enjoying it up there. And I'm hoping to see him in a Tigers uniform at least halfway through the season this season. So it'll be great.
That's awesome. That's really, really good to hear. Luke, as always, man, great stuff. Appreciate you stopping by here on the porch. We'll do it again next week. And By then, we'll see if Tennessee's in double-digit wins. Got Gonzaga coming up this weekend. Got to finish off the midweek here. But great stuff as always, Luke. Appreciate it, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me. I can't wait, and I look forward to this week.
All right, that is VFL Luc Lipcius, former Tennessee first baseman, here on the Porch, Volquest.com. Hey, guys. As always, thank you so much for tuning in to the Porch of Volquest podcast with Luc Lipcius, doing it all season long every Thursday right here at Volquest.com. And it's been a whole lot of fun so far. We've been kind of breaking down what Tennessee's done throughout the season so far, what they're kind of looking like, who the next opponent is, breaking down the play, breaking down the Tony Vitello suspension, the Maui Ahuna situation, all that and more. We're going over it here on the Porch each and every week. And a big thank you to our new sponsors, excuse me, of the Porch at the Spivey King and Spivey LLP. Problem? Let us find a solution. TN Trial Lawyers. If you want to give them a call today for a free consultation, pick up the phone, dial 423-245-4185. Again, a free consultation for Spivey King and Spivey LLP, 423-245-4185. Specializing in criminal defense, family law, and personal injury. Could not do the Porch without our friends at Spivey King and Spivey LLP. Hey, same time, same day next week, we'll be out on the Porch right here at Volquest.com. Appreciate you guys.